Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Duval Dive live. This is Kyle Nash, the student of the game.
And I'm Travis Holmes with BigCatCountry.com.
And you're listening to this thing on the Believe Podcast Network. Don't forget to tell them you're coming straight from Everbank there, champion, because local Jaguars are in great mode. That thing there, and it's time to use this graphic. Playoff push for your Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to throw one picture in earlier that you got there while you were there on scene at Everbank Stadium. How about the AFC South champions image on the board? And I like how they got the old logo underneath there too. If you are checking it out already on the Duval Dive YouTube channel, make sure you do so if you're listening to this on the pod. But Travis, listen, I got to tell you, we were both super correct and yet missed one very obvious thing that could happen that the Jaguars did in this game, right? They came out, Jeffrey Simmons, kind of a menace early, got the sack, got the team hype to do battle against the Jacksonville Jaguars offense early. And this Tennessee team was hyped to be hate. It never dawned on me, and should have, in my opinion, on our Friday edition of the Duval Dive, that Tennessee might overhype themselves and allow themselves to be taken over early. Do you feel like that's what happened here today there, Trent?
No. The Jaguars did what the Jaguars have done in 5 of the last 6 games, which I think is interesting because it's kind of going under the radar. They've actually started slow. They either had a turnover or they punted on 5 of the last 6 games, including the last time they played the Tennessee Titans. So, like, on the opening series. So the Jaguars basically did what they have pretty religiously done. The only game that they did have success on that opening drive in the last 6 was the New York Jets game. So I wrote about that in my recap on BigCatCountry.com because, again, I think that's kind of going under the radar. And I didn't get to ask Cohen about that in the post game because I kind of wanted it to be a celebratory mood. It felt reasonable with a 13-win season after just winning 4 in 2024. But, man, yeah, so I think that's what happened is the Jaguars, that it wasn't about what the Titans did. It was about what the Jaguars didn't do. And then Cam Ward got hurt. And on the touchdown run, immediately left the field, and the Titans just kind of never recovered because they're already a limited team.
Well, and the reason why in particular I bring up what I brought up, I feel like penalties was what helped the Jags get off the ground to really blow the game open early after Cam Ward leaving, of course. You know, I full disclosure, obviously that week in the team, do I think Cam Ward will be a bigger threat next year than this year? Yeah. Absolutely. Cam Ward was a guy I like so long as he got support. I'm with that. But Jeffrey Simmons, as much as he was important for what little flash we saw from the Titans, I thought he was also a part of how they broke down defensively because he got that penalty hit because he was just talking to everybody. And then,
they were
I'm sure he got quieter later too, you know. But to your point, the Jags needed to get out of their own way. 1,000,000,000% correct on that. We talked about that as well on Friday.
Can I mention something though? I think the Tennessee Titans coaching staff was absolutely in full tank mode. And I'm not saying the players were. I'm saying the actual staff was. And again, if you're listening and you're a Tennessee Titans coach, go sue me. Like, it is what it is. Like, it felt very much like the calls that they made going forward on 4th down at the 49-yard line when a game that is still a 2-possession game at that point, I believe it. I believe it was still a 2-possession game at this point. Just to give the Jaguars an opportunity at a long field goal at their field feels like, the tank is on. Like, and they had Jeffrey Simmons out of the game on their 3rd series of for multiple snaps until 3rd down for the passing. It's a 3-win team acting like a 3-win team when they know the tank is on. Like, that is what it is.
I'm not saying the tank wasn't on, but Simmons probably needed to be pulled off the field a couple times because that dude was hype early. I could see that.
Angry. He was angry. They had a linebacker for the Titans that threw a punch that they didn't throw a flag, and I was like, "Yo, what is happening?" And everyone in the press box was like, "Yeah, these refs got to get this under control because they are letting these boys be wild out there right now in these first 3 series of the game for the Tennessee Titans." So There was a tackle out of bounds on one of the Jacksonville Jaguars players. He was like 4 yards out of bounds on an early special team play. A lot of pushing and everything else going on the field. So overall, again, we know I'm not breaking news here when I say these dudes don't like each other. These teams don't like each other. But also, dang, refs, y'all gonna do this? Like, this ain't boxing. This ain't a boxing match. You could call something here. So from that perspective, I'm just like, yeah. But it was a good game overall. If you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, like I said on Friday, this needs to feel like a homecoming game. It did. In every way, it absolutely felt like a high school, college homecoming game. If you were here in the stadium, you know what I'm talking about. They made Everbank great again, bro. And they got another time to do it next week against hosting someone. So let's go.
Yeah, 100%. And in the comments, you divers are excited, just as you should be. You mentioned all the dislike earlier, but Robert Lambus in the comments, make sure you hit the like button on the Duval Dive YouTube channel. I always love it when the commenters do that. That'll get you a shout out every time they're divers. But listen, I got to tell you, there's a lot going on. Yes, the Titans are in full tank mode. I can make the argument that the Colts established today that they're further ahead than the Colts are with their quarterback situation and all that going on, even though the Colts were, giving quite a fight to the Texans. That game was closer than I thought it'd be. Obviously, the Texans still prevail, and we're waiting for all the things to shake out to see where everything is, but we seem to be trailing closer and closer to the possibility of a Jaguars-Texans matchup there too.
Eventually, at some point in the playoffs, that might be possible.
Yeah.
I just don't. It's not happening in the first week of the playoffs. Realistically, it's going to end up likely being the Chargers or the Bills, from my understanding of what the seeds are right now. Like, I'm not watching games that's happening right now.
Yeah, there's stuff going on that we haven't.
But the Texans did win that one eventually on that late field goal, and I believe I don't know if they hit the spread though. I think they had a double-digit spread earlier in the week. So whatever, for all you gamblers, you got to look that one up. Oh, you probably are pissed off and already at this time. But yeah, but overall, I think it's going to come down to what the outcome of that Chargers and Broncos game comes out, and the Jets and the Bills matchup. Because if you're not playing Josh Allen, the quarterback, there's a chance that can go either way. So it's going to end up being the Chargers or the Bills. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, well, and the Texans hold the tiebreak over the Chargers.
The Texans are going to be 5th seed.
Right.
That's here. We know that already. And the Jaguars are going to likely be the 3rd seed. I mean, unless something crazy happens.
This is why we know they're not playing them in the first round, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I mean, basically, if you want to see the Chargers, you need to cheer against the Broncos, but I got bad news for you fans. They're not starting Justin Herbert this week. So yeah. I and by the way, I don't mind this calculation by Jim Harbaugh. I'd rather play a Steeler or Raven team with my battered O-line being where it's at, with JJ Watt having to deal, with being banked up and having played an entire season. A Ravens defense that's not as good. I get the logic. I'm not mad at it. But anyways, enough about that crap.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what Robert Lamson says. Yeah, the Patriots are 14-0 right now over Miami. So yeah, we know where this is going. So that ain't what today is for. Today is about the party in Everbank Stadium.
Yeah.
Because them boys balled out of control, and there's a lot of milestones that this Jacksonville Jaguars team, players, organization hit today.
I want to start with what might be the greatest offensive weapon for the Jacksonville Jaguars in the past 2 seasons. Now, I say 2 seasons for a reason, because if it's 2 seasons, I'm talking about Cam Little. Dude's got the big boot once again. 60, what was it, 67?
67?
It was really far away. I'll show it to you rather than tell you about it. It's going to be
6-7 for all of you parents. I know y'all hate it. I'm sorry.
I walked right into that.
Oh, wait. Is this the wrong one? We're looking at the picture, brother.
I haven't walked.
Oh.
You're talking about 6-7 and trying to cause problems.
No, Cam Little is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the fact of the matter is the man already was the NFL record holder for the longest field goal ever made in the regular season after making the longest field goal period in the preseason of 70-yarder. He then makes a 67-yarder in today's game, which makes him the first player in NFL history with 2 field goals over 65 yards per NFL research. And he has the longest and the second longest field goals in the history of the NFL, 68 yards and 67 yards. And I love his celebration with Dewey Wingert, with both of them dancing, because you love it when a white boy get a little swag. That's right. That's it. That boy Cam Little was doing his thing. I enjoyed that very much, bro.
Just I, you know,
that is, yeah, get him.
And by the way, I think that was that Coach Campanelli that met him out there as well, you know, with the bump too. So no, big shouts to Cam Little, the most prolific weapon of the past 2 years. I say joking, of course, but yeah, obviously
he set the franchise record for most points scored also in this game with 140 points. Passing kicker Mike Hollis. Obviously 17-game seasons, so I know that changes the math a little bit, but hey man, the record's the record. It is what it is.
And listen, we talk about records. How about having a 4,000-yard passer in the Jags history now? Trevor Lawrence doing the thing.
Trevor Lawrence.
I am having some fun things. It does not like when I pull this up with videos. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, 4,006 passing yards for Trevor Lawrence, 61%, 29 passing touchdowns, 12 interceptions, with 359 rushing yards, one short of that magical 10 rushing touchdown performance. But let's be honest, I feel like the Titans were desperate to stop that over anything else. And we mentioned we thought they were going to attack the passing game with all the injuries over there. Most touchdowns in a single season for the franchise, according to Cooked by Debbie V2 on Twitter. So yeah, I think that is, to say that's a huge milestone, to say that is evidence alone of how this is easily Trevor Lawrence's single best year. That's where you start, is with that.
I mean, it's up there. It's probably really reasonably his best year when you consider the fact that they are also won 13 games. This is not garbage yards. They're not coming back where they have to continue throwing the ball late in games and things of that nature. So to have those stats means they're real. This isn't Blake Bortles, and I don't mean that as to demean Blake, but it is obviously what we know about those stats and the way that that's kind of worked out.
This is Mark Brunell throwing to Jimmy Smith, to those guys. This I'm just gonna say it. I was to put it in the form of a question, but I can't. This is the best. I say this as a Brunell guy, by the way. This is the best quarterback season in Duval history. Period. Point blank. That's just where we're at.
We're in shooting range. I can't say I'm 100% there because I am a Mark Brunell guy also, and I would need to look at those seasons like 1-to-1 in the context of where what happened in those seasons. And we know what happened with Brunell. We don't know what happened with Trevor fully just yet because playoffs matter.
It's a single season. I'm not saying Trevor's the better franchise quarterback. It's too soon. He can't do that. Obviously. Let's pump the breath. But I mean, this is the best season by a quarterback, not just because of the numbers, although those are huge. Let's stop looking at box scores and remind everybody Brian Thomas Jr. wasn't right for the first 4 weeks. Travis Hunter's missed how many weeks? Tim Patrick's doing things. You got at least, 11? I lost count at 10. I'm sorry. Different players catching touchdowns for this squad. Good golly, Miss Molly. Oh, by the way, I know Brunell used his legs on occasion, but he never looked like Trevor doing it.
Yeah, with no 1,000-yard receivers, to have 4,000 yards passing and your number one receiver not doing much, as you're not doing what you wanted to do. You're making a very solid argument right now. I'll give you that.
2 receivers. That's missing Jimmy and Keenan, right?
That's fair. Missing Jimmy and Keenan, that makes it a very good argument. But I will be willing to concede it's incredible. And whether or not he's the best, whether or not he's the second best, the media can argue about that forever, and we are part of the media right now.
As a single season, this is the best single season by a quarterback. I don't think that's.
But nevertheless, at the end of the day, we all wanted. This is a Liam Cohen thing. Like we all wanted Trevor Lawrence to do what Baker Mayfield did in 2024. And I'm not saying that Baker Mayfield is the ceiling, Baker Mayfield is the barometer, but Baker Mayfield was the template.
But he is the comparison, correct? Yeah,
he's the template for where everybody wanted. All right, oh cool, Liam Cohen did this. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers run game. Then I want the Jaguars run game to do this. Liam Cohen did this, or Baker Mayfield. So I want the Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback to do this. Trevor Lawrence. Well, Baker Mayfield in 2024 had 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, and 16 INTs. We're in shooting range. Like, I think that's actually reasonable. Like, again, Trevor Lawrence is 4,000 yards passing, 29 passing TDs, but you add the 9 rushing touchdowns, you're at 38 total. Hey, man. You're close. So I think overall they don't have the roster that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had in 2024, obviously, and they still are doing this thing with a little bit of duct tape, a little bit of Elmer's glue, but they finding ways to get these wins, bro, and that's what matters.
And they didn't have anything close to Tristan Wirfs on this Jacksonville's guard. Yeah, Mike Evans, Godwin. You know, the protection not the same. The running back core, you could make the argument is pretty even. I'll grant you that.
But the O-line is obviously not what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was.
Correct.
And this defense for the Jaguars is probably better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that's why I'm going to give them the edge.
It's an interesting conversation to have, and I think there's a philosophical thing. The fact that they take the ball way more, point blank, I think you're correct. But it's interesting noticing how these two different defenses are built a little different. And what I mean by that is not to say that the Bucks didn't have defensive back talent, but I know that the Jags don't have Vita Vea.
Hell no. Hell no. It's not even close.
Right.
They tried to get one at the trade deadline reportedly, but no, they don't have that guy. But they don't need that guy when you have a franchise record and the NFL's number one, the tied for the NFL league with 22 touchdowns, which is also a Jacksonville Jaguars franchise record.
Wow.
Like, shout out to Antonio Johnson there.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, you ain't just got to tell us about your shouts. Let's show Antonio Johnson, because I enjoyed this my own way there too. Just the way that Allen just he's looking for him to cut out. He doesn't. AJ eats and takes it to the hizzy. I loved a lot of the blocking downfield. That last one delivered by Josh Hines Allen. It's nice to see he could give pressure as a blocker as well. What can I say?
Your shame knows no bounds, bro. That's terrible.
I thought it was he put pressure on that guy so we couldn't make the tackle. I'm just trying to make a pun of a dude that gets a lot of pressure, and he used it the other way. There's not a diss here this time.
I got you, bro. No, man. Anthony Campanelli, who they just showed on the screen, man. Shout out. Like the Jaguars went from a league low 9 turnovers in 2024, 8 turnovers if you're just talking about defensively, because one of them came on special teams, to now having was second in the league in turnovers. What do we have? Like, I'm sorry, is it 31? Yes, 31, because the Chicago Bears are at 32 and they haven't played yet. They play Detroit. Second in the league. That's a 344% increase for any of you that's in math or accounting. Like, that's ridiculous. You go from 32nd in the league to second in the league in turnovers in one offseason. That's probably a little bit of an indictment, obviously, on Ryan Nielsen for that 2024 staff, but it's obviously a tip of the cap. It's obviously a feather in your cap for Anthony Campanelli and that defense. And my X factors, which I said was going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars secondary, I said Cam Ward was going to throw an interception, and unfortunately, they made me out into a liar because it wasn't Cam Ward because he left the game after the first series. But they did get the interception of former Jacksonville Jaguar Brandon Allen, and so we appreciate Duval appreciates him for that. And Antonio Johnson gets his 3rd interception in the last 4 games, and it's 5 on the season, which is tied with Devin Lloyd. So both of these guys are balling, Devin Lloyd and Antonio Johnson. Hey, man, this was a week that you wanted. Again, I said it was a party scene, and it really did feel like it.
Yeah, and rightly so. Deserved to each of the ends of Duval County, to each of the ends of the land area. that makes Jax what it is and puts it on the map, right? So
brother, Duval County knows no ends.
Mm.
It's the widest county in the nation, basically. Or it might be top 2, I don't know. But I don't care. Duval is everywhere. Duval is everywhere that Duval is, man. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, y'all in the comments are celebrating in a special way, and still see again, the good problem we like to have in the comments is when you see arguments about the reason for the success.
They're arguing about I haven't even seen the comments, bro. So they're arguing about the reason for the success.
So yeah, and I'll say this, receivers stepped up, right? BTJ, you have it here in the comments. Social Alky receivers stepped up. BTJ went from having a little bit of his struggles earlier to now making some brilliant catches late in the game that were very even Jacoby Myers-esque, in my opinion.
Hey, brother, I'm so happy BTJ came back on the field like that. Yeah. Being checked for a concussion after that late what was it, pass interference penalty? Whatever the penalty was on the defensive back. That resulted in BTJ going down to the ground, and he walked off the field, was checked for a concussion, came back into the game. Obviously, one of our huge keys to the game. The first one was stay healthy with the playoffs starting. So then you have BTJ leave the field being checked for a concussion, but he comes back. Great. I ain't gonna lie. And I know I'm not the only one. I was in that press box. I heard the fans right below us from the press box talking about it very passionately. Why the hell is Trevor Lawrence still in the game? And when you're up 27 points in the fourth quarter, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that everyone had the same thought. And it's obviously because they wanted that 4,000 yards. And no one wants Trevor to be hurt. No one wants the other players on the team to be hurt. So I understand why that was a question, we'll say. So the fact of the matter that they came out of the game reasonably healthy is positive. Questions on Cole Van Lanen's knee. That was late in the fourth quarter when he went down. And Greg Newsome, I believe, was the only other one that was being checked for injury. I believe it was to his shoulder. Overall, we'll see where that lands because, again, the playoff football is different, and hopefully guys can play through things that they may be willing to sit out a week if it's a game that didn't matter as much. So we'll see.
Yeah, and Social Alky put in the comments, followed up here by Robert Lamerson. I hope CVL is okay. We'll talk more about that indubitably on Wednesday, I'm sure, as we hear more about him and how he's practicing leading up to the playoffs. And listen, PJ in the building, this dude, I know I called him some kind of crazy, saying HR probably needed a call so he could get drug tested and stuff with his 12-5. He does remark that he'll happily take 13-4, $500 richer for the prediction. And you know what? PJ, listen, I am looking forward to hearing about how you spend that dough.
I need to find PJ an investment banker or something because that man's balling out of control from the Jacksonville Jaguars this season. Because I can count multiple times where PJ is coming in his thread and said, "I'm up 500, I'm up 250." I'm like, wait, no, where is my drink, sir? Like,
first of all, he said Bucky's on him, so let's be clear. We get that brisket, it'll be great.
Come on. Oh man, no. So no, I mean, Trevor Lawrence came out early in the game with Shay's birthday shirt, and you guys know Shay is his daughter. It's her first birthday, so you knew walking into this bad boy that Trevor Lawrence is about to have a day.
Get electric, yes.
Right, and he did have a day. Like again, even at the half, he already had his 3 touchdown passes, and you kind of just thought that they would just sit him down at that point. But I mean, this is what is it? The 7th time the Jaguars have scored more than 30 points. They've scored more than. No, you're saying no?
No, I'm shaking my head because it's hard to believe. I'm sorry.
Oh,
no, you're dropping this. I'm like,
it's a franchise record, which is the only time that's happened in franchise history, because the last time it was 6 times for the 2017 Jaguars.
Right.
And we know what happened in 2017. So like we want to hopefully, Miles Jack isn't down. And this thing can go a little farther this year. We don't have Miles Jack, but we got Devin Lloyd. It's fine. You understand the comparison.
Hey, all I'm saying is it may not need to come down to defense with the way that this offense is balling. That's the main point.
Okay, maybe so. But also a new franchise record for touchdowns scored in the season with 53. And Trevor Lawrence is with the new franchise record for touchdown score, beating Blake Bortles with 38. So like it really was a milestone day across the board. I mean, again, and Anthony Campanella's unit also doing what they did on the turnover side of things. It is what it is. I thought they started off slow, but I thought it was exactly the game that we kind of talked about on Friday's Duval Dive, like that you want to see, reasonably speaking. Again, assuming Cole Van Lannen's knee is all right, and assuming nothing's going on with Greg Newsome as far as that, because you don't want to be limited in that postseason.
Interested shout out here by Bruce in the comments. I was at Everbank in 2017, or actually it would have been TIAA probably, or even something else. Was it still Alltel? Hell, I don't know. Anyways,
I don't know.
It was at he was at the bank in 2017 when Smoot was a rookie. Happy to see him get a sack today. If that was his last game for Duval, well, technically not. Playoffs, yeah. I mean, there you go. It's
last game. We'll see. We'll see.
It may not be. We'll find out. But if it is, that's a good way to go out on a blaze of glory in your regular season. I hear that.
Yeah, man. I'm not ready for that type of conversation. That's definitely an off-season comment. Because we got playoff football waiting on the Duval, like at Duval, like more importantly. So whoever they play, I've already told you guys my prediction before I know which team it is. It's going to either be the Bills, more likely than not, or the Chargers. And in my head, the Jaguars are up by 10 on either of those teams. That's me just saying, based on the film, based on what we've seen about these teams, based on the types of quarterbacks they are, based on the strengths and weaknesses of each organization. Like, that's just kind of where I'm landing. And I'm telling you that now before we even do the full game preview of these teams, because I've already watched both of them in pretty reasonable detail. So it is what it is. But I just question whether or not this Jaguars team is going to stay up the second week, whoever they play, whether that's the Broncos, whether that's the Patriots, or whoever else, the Texans, whoever. So that's my concern.
You're assuming the Texans don't get past week 1, but I would even throw this there too. This is the irony. Are you ready for this? As somebody who covers the Orlando Magic, hear me out. When they made their playoff run last year, part of the reason why the Knicks were eliminated is because they faced the Magic the previous year. And you saw what that did to them in the NBA playoffs, right? The Magic are a physical team. They will hurt you. They will beat you up. This Texans defense has that quality to it. And the fact that the Jags, should the Texans lose, by the way, I'm making an assumption here. If the Jags find themselves facing that opponent that the Houston Texans are playing, they would have, in fact, helped the Jacksonville Jaguars by softening them up, significantly. Just throwing it out there.
I mean, that's the same as that argument you can make for whoever plays against the Broncos also. Like, that's a historic thing that teams say when teams that played against the Baltimore Ravens generally do equally bad the week after because they just got beat up by a very physical team. It's the same thing.
Same stat with the Niners, but I think the difference here is, Travis, like there's a good chance the Jags see the Broncos down the line. I'm saying should the Texans lose, they still could potentially be helping the Jaguars, at which point then they'd have to play the role of Maui and say, what can I say except you're welcome?
So in that Cat Williams voice, so either way, boo-boo, either way you happen to Duval. So I understand. So that's fair.
Duval.
All right. No. So, I mean, the only thing I would say is I would question, or I have maybe issues with, I don't know what language you want to box it in or how you want to package it, but we're going to say what I'm trying to say is we talked about it for a few weeks now. I said I thought the Jaguars would struggle on the ground. They did struggle on the ground. I'm not looking at the late stats when the game out of control at that point, but early on, I mean, you were talking Travis Etienne at the end of the game, Travis Etienne had 14 carries for 32 yards, which is 2.3 yards a carry. But at halftime, I believe it was around, he had like 20 yards. Let's go with 20 yards just to be safe. I had it written down somewhere here, but again, I'm working on my phone. So at the half, Travis Etienne had 5 rushes for 11 yards, which is 2.2 yards a carry, and he ended the game under 2 yards a carry at that point. Like, that's obviously not good, and we talked about this run game often at this point in this last 6 weeks. So that's still going to be a concern for me moving forward. I'm not going to hammer it. You know my stance on it. But it's a question.
No, and Social Alki puts in the comments, we, Duval, the Jags, are just as physical as the teams mentioned. That's kind of what I'm getting at, right? If they're playing a softer team that the Jags would face, because the Broncos have the bye, the Jags can't. I don't think there's a scenario where the Jags can play the bye unless everything goes chalk. I don't think the Patriots win a playoff game. I'm just going to come right out and say it.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I was on a podcast on Thursday. And I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on the name. I would love to give them credit or give them a shout out, but the gist of it being, they were asking me about what team that I think was overrated in the playoffs, and they said you can't pass on this. You got to give an answer. And my immediate answer was like, oh no, I don't need to pass. No, this is easy. I think the New England Patriots are a G5 team that's getting into the playoffs on an undefeated schedule, and I would not be shocked if they lost in the first 2 weeks. That was my honest answer.
What they say to G5.
That's it, bro. I really believe that team is not. That team is is not even say more talented. They're just a healthy New England Colts. Had the Colts stayed healthy, I think that's what they are. They haven't played anybody. They haven't been challenged, and I think as soon as they do, they lose.
Please see that Bills game where they came back from down 21. So,
yeah, yeah. So. But overall, I mean, the shout out Parker Washington. We're gonna get into him on Wednesday, I believe. I think that'll be a good one to talk about because his last 3 weeks, whoo boy, I believe he's averaging over 100 yards a game, and he might have 3 touchdowns. I think he has 2 touchdowns in that range. Parker Washington, his ascension with the Jaguars, needing another receiver to kind of step up because Brian Thomas hasn't been that guy that you want him to be in that way. I mean, I think he deserves his flowers, especially in wrapping up this season, and especially not knowing how teams are going to kind of attack this Jacksonville Jaguars offense. So, yeah, that was it. Washington, that's King David. That's it. Washington is a dog. And I laughed in the press box with Cole. Dang it, what's Cole's last name? I forget his name. He's he's from the radio. And we were talking about, I'm like, dude, every time Parker Washington catch the ball, it becomes a punt return. It becomes a punt return with space. That's it is. And it was so funny watching them just run in a circle. I'm just hearing that cartoon music as he catches the ball because he's just running in circles, just making dudes miss. It's just funny, bro.
That circus. No, I'm right there with you, buddy. I got you. Man, that's awesome.
Hey, man, so Parker Washington and Brenton Strange. Brenton Strange had a whole Brenton Strange drive, and so did Parker Washington, where it was most of the production came from those two guys. So those are my biggest takeaways from the team. I'm still cautious about the fact that there is no pass rush production overall that we've seen with this Jacksonville Jaguars defensive front, but they're getting it done with the turnovers. So I think it's a solid situation. And we'll kind of see where that lands based on who they play in the playoffs.
Well, and that's the thing I think that's different. If they're playing either Justin Herbert or Josh Allen, which obviously they are, I feel like the D-line is going to have to get involved more. There's no other choice. You
think so?
Yeah, when it's a younger containment, a younger quarterback containment, like a Cam Ward, like a Brandon Allen, something like that. I feel like that there's a very deliberate feel to contain rush more. Also, if you have a younger guy, the longer he holds, we talked about this, the longer he holds the ball, the better it is for DBs to get interceptions. And how many did Jarian, I don't want to say dropped, but how many Jarian have a shot at today? Was 2 himself there too. I felt there was at least 3 turnover worthy plays and only 1 was truly capitalized upon, right?
And that one was a terrible throw. Yeah, you're right. And I love the fact that Antonio Johnson caught it, but it wasn't a good throw, to be real. So no, you're not wrong.
Yeah, Drew Brees pointed it out in the commentary, and I think he's right. I think there was a miscommunication where the receiver sat down rather than cutting out, and it made it look like a bad throw. I think there's some there with that.
Well, I mean, we're Jaguar fan and Jaguar media. We know about that from early in the season. We've seen those miscommunications very often. So I'm with you.
And Social Alki, he was drafted by the Jags. That's a good point you bring up there, sir.
Brandon Allen, Titans backup quarterback, was drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars. So and he helped out Duval in a very big way. That draft pick was very well used.
Apparently, whatever intel he had to offer wasn't enough. We'll put it that way.
That's fair.
I don't know. Maybe that's why Jeffrey Simmons thinks Trevor's a one-read quarterback. Anyways,
Okay. But no, overall, like I think it was a really dominant performance for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, you win by, you won, you break 40 while also holding the other team to less than 10 points to the point where they're trying to kick a field goal late in the game just to not feel like they got boat raced, which I thought was very funny. Even the Tennessee media thought that was funny. There were multiple people who were like, dude, what are you doing? Are you really kicking a field goal this late in the game? Like, what are you like? That it's embarrassing. If I was a Tennessee Titan fan, I would feel embarrassed from that coaching staff and what they put on the field today and some of the decisions that were made. I'm just keeping the buck. Like, that was not it. If you are a fan of that organization, you are just like, dude, you're embarrassing me in front of my family, in front of my friends. Can we not do this? At least try to score a touchdown. Come on, man.
That's
so
funny.
that wasn't the game for them. But if you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, you love to see another team struggling because the Jaguars fan base, you guys out there, Duval, Devout, you have been through something very similar over the last few decades. Well, I mean, the last decade, at least, maybe even the last like 15 years. So shout out to y'all, man. I hope y'all do and really enjoy your Victory Monday before we turn that page on whatever it is, Tuesday, Wednesday, to start looking forward to this playoff football, because now every week is a playoff game. And yeah, so it's win or go home. So hopefully the Jaguars can, stay home and playing at home, if you know what I mean.
I do. And who knows? Maybe on Wednesday's edition of the Duval Dive, we'll talk. I'm going to ask you this question. I don't want you to answer it here for two reasons. A, I'm going to be that host and tease the hell out of it, so people listen to the show Wednesday to get your answer as a member of the Duval Devout. But I want you to truly think about. Yeah, Simmons was in his feelings. We was talking about that. But I want you to really consider. Even though the Jags do have a 14 win year in a 16-week season under their belt, still going back to that, that year where the Titans stole the playbook.
Damn, Music City Miracle. So I'm happy y'all lost.
Yeah. But with all that inside, by the way, that was a forward pass. No, but the punchline is, do you think this regular season is better than that one? I have my thoughts, I have my feelings, I have my opinions, but I want to hear.
Yeah, we can get into that.
We'll definitely Wednesday. Get into that on Wednesday.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely get into that Wednesday. And again, I want to give Joshua Morrison his shout out. He did say on Friday's stream, on Wednesday's stream, I'm sorry, that the Titans would not score 10 points. I laughed and I'm like, it's possible, but I didn't know what was going to happen.
It was Thursday. That's right.
Thursday. But nevertheless, they also they scored 7 points on one drive with their starting quarterback. So I don't know how much of a victory lap you can really take, but I'm gonna let you have it, bro. You got it.
No, he was right. They scored less than 10. And really, I'm wondering if at home he was thought to himself at some point, damn, that could have been a shutout. No,
it couldn't have been a shutout. Let's be real. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't gonna BS you just because it's a party scene. That don't mean we gotta lie about stuff. Like, no, I'm not saying that. They scored on the only drive they had their starting quarterback, and it did not look very complicated. No, I'm not saying that this would have been a different game had Ken Ward played. The Jaguars likely still would have won and maybe even boat raced them. But no, it would have been a different game. I'm not going to BS y'all just because it makes y'all feel good. No, eat your vegetables. It is what it is. And Social says, did she just call the Patriots James Madison?
Yes.
I mean,
yes, we did. I'm wearing that vest right there with you. I look good in purple. I don't care. Let's go.
Can I answer this one question? I know we about to get off. I know we about to wrap this bad boy up.
Their quarterback plays for UCF now. I could talk about him anyways.
But no, Topa asks, how are we feeling about Antonio Johnson? Do we think that he can be a starter next season with Ransall coming back? I mean, I love this front office. I love this defensive staff and the way they move. So just from that vantage point, I'm already like, I think he's your opening week starter. And I think Ransall then has to earn the ability to get on the field, just like Antonio Johnson earned the ability to be on the field. So if you're saying, do I think he can be a starter? Absolutely. Sure. I think he's your opening day starter in camp. And I think it's going to come down to who's the biggest dog, who has the best production, who has the best offseason, etc. And Ransall's going to have to take it, just like Antonio Johnson took it, because that's what it looks like when we have a competitive organization and a competitive roster. Mm-hmm. Cool. Best man win it out.
I think with this front office, to further ignite how much I agree with the point you're making, Travis, I think the correct way you need to ask this question is how many weeks can this guy start in this scheme, right? Do you see Antonio Johnson over or under 8.5 weeks starting? And the answer is under today if Ransaw is that's promised. And if not, it don't matter because AJ's still going to start.
I'm not there. This isn't specific to Antonio Johnson or Ransaw. This is just a specific to Travis D. Holmes. I'm gonna just say F promise. I don't believe in promise. I believe in today. What are you today, and what will you be? Because what kind of work you gonna put in? Because people say promise all the time, man. This is all projections. We gambling out here. Like we don't know what these guys gonna be. Like, and neither does a lot of other coaching staff. Some of them are better, some are worse. What it is, what it is. But overall, I don't know about how much I believe in promise. I just believe in dogs, how much you got in you. And what work you're going to put in and the scheme fit and all of those things. But we've never seen Ransaw in the NFL. We've seen Antonio Johnson play at a really high level right now. And I'm always going to lean on what I see over what I think might be like later down the line. So, yeah, there's some give and take on that with like Travis Hunter and everything on film. Like, obviously, that's a different thing. But Ransaw was a little bit of question mark when he was drafted because he played at two different schools. He played in a unique role in that spear position, both at Tulane and Troy. Like, so I'm not going to just say, "Hey, man, based on promise." Man, what does that mean?
I mean, it's potential. He's asking you to speculate and stop sitting on the vent so tightly here. It's not
me that I'm speculating. I'm saying I see a guy on film, on NFL film, and I can say now, looking back tomorrow on NFL History Channel, I see Antonio Johnson out here making plays. Will Kelly Ransaw? Maybe. And I ain't willing to say yes just because they drafted him in the third round. But bro, third rounds miss 50% of the time. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
And you can't always will. I mentioned sociality in the comments. In Jimmy Stone's We Trust, he don't flinch. Yeah, what that means is if neither of them are cutting it, he'll go get a safety he like better.
That's the biggest point that I would love to make when I was talking about that whole Seattle Seahawks week with Bo Crouch, because I always said that about that organization is they were big about moving on from draft picks within less than 2 years because they were like, hey, man, this ain't going to work. I don't care if it's a third round pick. I don't care if it's a free agent signing. If it don't work, it don't work. We moving on. Wait, hey, man, we got Denver next week, whatever. Like, that's how they operated. I'm waiting to see. I know James Gladstone is bold and don't flinch. And I know Liam Cohen is bold and doesn't flinch, but I need to see it in action in that area. Will they move off of a guy that they drafted if it don't work out? We haven't seen that yet, and I'm not waiting for it to happen necessarily because I don't want them to miss. I don't want them to miss, but numbers wise, they're going to miss eventually. Who's that guy that they're willing to move off of to let us know? All right, this is for real.
Well, fam, if I might be so bold, maybe we're already seeing some evidence of what that looks like with McLeod.
He was hurt, so I don't know how much I can agree with that just yet.
I'm not saying it's done.
But it's a question.
I'm saying there's evidence. Hurt or not, clearly today, a miss. Not a bust, just a miss. As far as
what a guy getting injured in training can't necessarily be a miss.
Well, I mean, hey, you called Leonard Fournette a bust because of injury. Why can't this just be a miss for now? I'm just saying.
Fournette wasn't a bust because of injury. I thought Fournette was a bust because it was a misuse of a draft capital. That's all.
The point is, in either scenario, it's not necessarily the player's fault. This is something what they expected.
Man, you got me out in these streets fighting for my life, trying to defend Jalen McLeod, like because I like his family and his dad. It sells crab legs, like it's great, man. But no, calm down.
You ain't got to defend. I'm just saying we're seeing whispers of how they might act, and in that they don't talk about it; they just act. That's my point.
I'm here for it. Yeah, I am here for it, and I mean that's how folks was talking about the Tyson Campbell trade because there were the rumors from I heard that from a lot of people like that people around the team was like, hey, no, we traded Tyson Campbell, and then there were some players who just wanted Campbell still to be on the roster, and I'm like, dude, obviously there are some players who thought that, but there are also some players who was just looking at the film like, duh, that ain't gonna work. He's obviously being targeted in the passing game, so that was an easy thing.
And once you start winning. In that locker room liked watching it happen, but I think more of them understood why. And
right, he's their guy.
Yes, exactly.
That's it. Yeah, so I can understand that too.
Yeah, 100%.
Reyes says Brown not getting snaps as the season went on tells me they're okay being wrong and changing things up. No, I disagree. I do agree with your general assessment that De'Ami Brown not getting snaps mean they're okay being wrong over the scope of everything. But that's also a help that they had Jacoby Myers brought into the house. They had Brian Thomas Jr. get healthy at the same time. And that's still not what I'm referencing when I'm talking about James Gladstone. That's a different conversation. I'm talking about moving off of guys. That's generally a general manager decision. I know that's somewhat also overlaps with the coaching decision. I just view it a little differently because one's not playing with the guy because you have more options available. Whereas with the safety position, you might not necessarily. We'll see what happens with Dewey. We'll see what happens, there.
Understood that they're different conversations, but I think the general gist of the point, and I think you're here too, is that Stones, now I'm calling him Stones, James Gladstone gave those tools to Liam Cohen to have alternatives. It's the first step in moving off of a free agent that I believe there was a signing involved with that. And that's that first step to kind of move off a guy. We'll have to, the offseason will answer the question, is my point.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, you're right. So they'll get together in a room and figure out how they want to look at that. And that James will be involved, Gladstone, will be involved with that. And Liam will obviously have his say because this is how the way these guys work. They work together. And PT asks, was Liam McLeod on IR? Was this the last chance to activate him basically from the window? And I don't believe so because I think they still can activate him from IR because his 21-day window was open where he would, I believe, have to be activated by, and don't quote me on this because, again, my phone's not in front of me, but it's just a bit, I believe it was like this Thursday coming, something along those lines. So I think they still do have time if they choose to activate him to have an additional burst of the pass rush for the playoffs.
Watch closely this week is basically the gist of what we're saying.
Not to mention, you can also return a guy from IR in the playoffs because they changed that rule, I believe, 2 years ago, where we can return two guys for the playoffs.
Nice. And an interesting shout here from Topo. Wendell Robinson. It's Dell. I only know that because I had to spell his name. But I know why you're mentioning Robinson as a replacement for Tim Patrick and De'Ami Brown, as one who I believed played for a Liam Cohen Kentucky team here in the Citrus Bowl. I actually asked questions of Wendell Robinson, and somebody knocked a microphone over in the middle of it, and he still answered my question right. It was great. That being said, I'll put it this way. It would be the first short receiver, air quotes, that I've seen actively pursued as such. Because if I remember correctly, Robinson's less than 6 feet tall, which makes him unique amongst receivers that Cohen has come to run.
Right. Yeah. I don't know how much they're going to be adding another guy to replace De'Ami Brown when you can just easily add a guy in the draft and you have them for way cheaper than paying someone, even if it's a smaller amount. I just don't see how much that's necessarily going to happen. But it's always a fun thing for folks to talk about because they do have that Liam Cohen college connection. But I don't think you need another guy in that receiver room without it just being a guy in the draft. But I mean, maybe feel free. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see.
No, I think it's a very interesting conversation. And yeah, Sunstain mentions he's 5'8". Yeah, I think he's listed 5'9" or 10. He might be. Who knows? I haven't
calmed down with this height superiority thing y'all got going on. I'm 5'9", bro. I don't care, and I'm not that tall. As much as folks think I'm huge, I am not, and I'm okay with it. I'm used to being the smallest guy on the football team. It is what it is. But I'm still better than the American average, which is half of the people listening to this podcast. It is.
There you go. I like it. I like all of it. So with all that in mind, guys, we're 50 minutes in, but 30 years later, the Jags might be heading towards what potentially could be their best season yet. And it's, well, hey, it all starts next week, though. It don't mean nothing until the playoffs, which we will be talking with all y'all about on Wednesday night. In the meantime, commenters, please keep the conversation going. Champion, tell the world where you can be found.
I mean, of course you can find me on all the socials, but first thing, before you try to find me, click that like button. Like, do that. help us out there, because the thing keeps growing only because you guys keep talking about us. You guys keep talking to us on the socials, talking to us on the Duval Dive on X, talking to us on the Duval Dive on TikTok. I mean, that last freaking post, y'all went in arguing for the Duval Dive. It was so many Jaguar fans on that bad boy. It was like 125 comments. Yeah, they were arguing for their life, and I love you guys for it. So yes, find us on the Duval Dive TikTok, find us on the Duval Dive on X, but you can find me, Travis D. Holmes, on all the socials, and find my writing covering the Jacksonville Jaguars on BigCatCountry.com. But again, hit that like button, hit comment on the thread. If you're listening to us on the audio side, please rate and review us. It helps us out tremendously and gets us paid a little bit. Like, y'all want to be paid for your work? I like being paid for my work. Help us. You know what I mean? Like, so so we appreciate you guys for hopping in with us, man, and having this conversation and talking with us. And please let me know where you can be found, kind sir.
Of course, I am Kyle Nass, the student of the game. You find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. Check out my writings with the Black and Gold Banneret and Night Shift podcast, talking about UCF football and basketball. Like I mentioned, they just got James Madison's quarterback in the transfer portal. We'll see if he actually stays through the spring. That's a whole other conversation. But yeah, also check out my bowl game coverage if you haven't yet, with either the Scouting Depot or the CFP Reddit thread. Those went really well. The Citrus Bowl for Reddit, and then the Cure Bowl and oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Cure Bowl and Pop-Tarts Bowl on the Scouting Depot. But for movie,
that Pop-Tarts Bowl is odd, bro.
Oh, it's fun.
Pop-Tarts Bowl would be scary. Out there eating the mascots and stuff. Y'all nasty.
See, this is how I know you're not fat, Travis. Anyways, with all that in mind, listen, BYU's coach, former fullback, and de facto offensive lineman, because he played fullback back in that day, had no problem taking care of business. I can tell you that. Anyways, check out all those things. Of course, my coverage of the Orlando Magic. But moving forward, I'll be very focused on your Jacksonville Jaguars as they make their playoff push here on the Duval Dive. So for all you divers in the comments, getting deep in the convos, for Travis D. Holmes, who's so hype he's busting up his microphone while giving you your dap, make sure you check that out on the YouTube channel. It was actually very funny. I don't know why you're apologizing. This is Kyle Nash, the student of the game. Until next time, everyone, class dismissed.